that really looks bad, because you're not living out being a merciful person. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. So, which is repeated as forgiveness, it's repeated as kindness, it's repeated as gifts, it's repeated under various scenarios what constitutes mercy. It's a broad situation, and the thing is that at the end of Matthew chapter 5, the Master says that when you have a lot of care for people in general, especially those who are a little difficult to care for, because God will give people in your face who are having problems being nice people in general. And it's your job to have some tolerance and to care for them in spite of the fact that they are not being very good. And this is living bread. We're back to living bread. I have not added this to living bread yet, but it is a part of living bread. Denial is not the only aspect to living bread. However, mercy and denial have a lot in common. Christianity can be a little complicated. When you deny yourself the justice and the fair treatment that you should possibly receive, then that means you're merciful, because you're enduring something that's a little difficult. God endures a lot of things that are difficult for him, with you and with us. Therefore, we need to exercise that same tolerance and that same care for people that don't necessarily deserve your care. That's the point. We've gone into our second segment because I'm a little sleepy. I needed some coffee or something a little bit here, with which I drink coffee once in a while, but we're going into our second segment here because I'm a little dreamy right now. And but we get up in the morning, we get right into the Word of God, and we're in First and Second Corinthians, and this is Jeremiah with New Covenant. Let's continue with what I'm sharing with you. And we're talking about mercy right now, and how everything is basically related to mercy and grace in your Bible. Almost everything is basically related to that. That's why I call it the Fantastic Four. It's four of the major things that we deal with in Christianity, which is getting good things or being in a good conditions, and you don't deserve those conditions. That's what those two words mean. And I call it the Fantastic Four because the third component to the Fantastic Four is peace. And when God decides to give you mercy and grace, the results are you're going to experience peace. There is no good conditions. There are no good conditions. I use the proper verb here. There are no good conditions in reference to you unless there's peace. Now, there are people who drive by here on this street with automobiles with speakers so loud that they shake this house. I don't know how the FCC allowed them to do that. The people who supervise all of the products that are made in the United States, but that product should have never been available for the citizens. To have speakers as loud as a concert speaker for a rock and roll concert or something, it's utter insanity. And it lets you know that things are not good as far as the status quo here in America. Now I'm going to try to be tolerant and do exactly what the Master said in chapter 5, because people are obviously doing something that is basically illegal according to the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. You're supposed to have the pursuit of peace, and how can you pursue peace when someone is robbing your peace? No, I don't expect to have a community whereby that it's a library where nobody can talk and all of that. That's going a little too far. But as far as shaking your house with some sort of bass frequency with some sort of possible titanium speaker, that shouldn't be legal. However, look, there it is, right in your face, which is obviously the devil. Because everywhere that there's no peace, that's Satan. That's the devil. It's the same thing as if somebody banged on your door and tried to break in your window at 3 in the morning. There's no difference between them basically shaking your house and possibly hurting your ears, also disturbing the movie you might be watching or the book you're reading. It is a concrete disturbance. That's the point. And the people who are disturbing you, they know they're disturbing you. They want to take your joy and your peace away from you. And this is why God made hell. He made a place where people who like to disturb people, for all of you to live together. All of them out there who enjoy wickedness, there's a home for all of you. So that birds of a feather can stick together. And you can just torture each other throughout eternity. Just enjoy yourselves. Hitler said he was a terrorist and a barbarian. Well, he's going to go to a place where other terrorists and barbarians go, and he's home. He's where he kind of belongs, isn't it? That's the way it goes. And we get to go to heaven, even though we don't deserve to go to heaven. We actually belong with Hitler, because all you need is one mistake, and you go downstairs. That's all it takes. Because God never made a mistake, and he's absolutely pure. So why would he want you to hang around? So now I want to get to chapter 6 here, and we're going to itemize another problem this church has, which is really horrible. It doesn't mean that they're not saved. He talks about them basically being on the bubble, because people who are in the world, back in the world, and they're obviously practicing or talking about some sort of sin that's ongoing, because that's what's going on here. There are people who are doing something, and it's basically church illegal activity. And he's going to confront them on various issues, which was being proud of who baptized you, taking somebody to court over probably some trivial situation of $10 or something, and going to the world to have them adjudicate your problem. What you were supposed to do was to go to the pastor or an elder and say, so and so did this, and I'm going to pray for them, and I'm going to shine it on. Now you can confront them and ask them about what they've done, because every sin is very serious in the church, isn't it? And so, but we're not going to overreact. Let's put it that way. And we have protocol from the first lesson in the Gospels, which is in the Beatitudes, blessed are the merciful. So I want to be blessed. Therefore, I want to have a forgiving, caring heart. That's all this is over and over again as one of the main staples of what this Christianity is about. We talk about it over and over again because it's number 4 in this ministry. Grace and mercy. Giving people things that they don't deserve. And that goes for forgiveness. They might be rude, they might snap, whatever. We have to be very careful that we don't exact anything on them. You know, you're going to pay for it, Bill, all of this. We don't want to do that. But however, there's a flip coin to this, a flip side to this, and that is that you do this under the proper conditions. In other words, you forgive people under the proper conditions. Also, you can forgive people and show them grace and show them good that they don't deserve by just telling them, I'll see you later, God bless you, just leave them alone. You can separate yourself from people. You don't necessarily have to hang out with people that you don't want to hang out with. Now, if you're on a job somewhere and you must continue to hang out with those people, that's a different story and so forth. But you can meet people and move to another state or move to another city or something, or just basically don't call them anymore and just pray for them. You don't have to do anything at all, really. When I was growing up, I stopped communication with a lot of people, and I prioritized the church and not necessarily my old friend. Let's put it that way. And I was very comfortable just going to church and starting basically new friends, more or less. I wasn't being cold to the old friends. It's just that I got probably what you might call a better group of friends. Because there is no shadow of turning with the Lord and the church in general. But in the world, people don't know what love is. They don't know what mercy is. They don't know what kindness is. They don't cultivate kindness. It just happens, and if it happens, it happens. In the church, we know that we better cultivate kindness, or we might find our rear ends, we might find ourselves in a hurting situation. Because the Lord loves kindness, so we know that. So that's what we do. In general. You want to hang around people who do what they want to do when they feel like doing it? That's not a good idea. That's basically what the world is. The world is their own God, so they decide what they want to do when they want to do it, and nobody is supposed to tell them no, or yes, or no, or nothing. Just leave me alone. I'm on my own, If I feel like being mean, I want to be mean. I want to be better. If I feel like lying, I lie. If I feel like fornicating or adultery, I do it and don't bother me. And so there you have it. And you don't need that kind of group as friends. You don't need that. A lot of movies I watched, classic movies, I watched two of them last night, two short ones, before I went to bed, and both of them were two groups of people in the American dynamic. One was in Bel Air, Beverly Hills. It was an innocent movie, but it was still uncomfortable. Because people had problems, but they didn't talk about church or Christ at all. Now, at the end of the movie, they resolved their problems, but the issue was we really don't want to sit through a movie. I'm basically kind of going to sleep. I don't really want to watch humans try to fix their own problems. Humans trying to fix their own problems is a recipe for disaster. Now, it can work out, and we're happy when it does. But in general, it's just no good. And in this one of the movies I saw, going to sleep on here, was a well done movie, and it was a beautiful home in Bel Air. They had a home in Bel Air which was worth I don't know how much, but an absolutely beautiful home. But one thing we learned right away in the movie: a house is not a home. Because even though they had lots of money, there was gambling, there were problems in the family, and there was no peace. Christmas Eve, the woman was home alone, and the boy did not have a father or something along those lines. So, but they had a beautiful house. But as the movie pointed out, it's not a home. A house is not a home. And rich people in general, they don't know Jesus Christ because, first of all, they're rich. So that's a big problem right out the gate. So it's very unlikely that people who have a rich home have a home. It's really going to be a house. It's not going to be a home. Because the same behavior it took to hoard the money to buy the home is the same behavior that's going to be in the house, which is selfishness, arguing, greed. That's what's going to accompany the home. So it's not a home, is it? No. You can't have a home if there's war. That's not a home. That's a house. Okay? And they had a Christmas tree there, and they played one of the Christmas songs, the carols, and that was all we got. Now, what made the movie G-rated in general was that it was a basically G-rated do-good movie, which America made a lot of these movies. They call that a Judeo-Christian movie where they don't talk about Christ too much, but everyone must be nice to one another in general. And if somebody has a problem, we're going to try to help them no matter who they are. So that's good. That's what makes it G-rated, and that's what makes it kind of Americana. Unfortunately, there's no mention as to the scriptures and so forth, and that makes the movie uncomfortable. Because invariably what we're looking at is human beings trying to fix their personal psychology, and that's impossible. It's impossible for humans to fix their psychology. It's impossible. You can do it spasmodically, but you can't do it on a consistent basis. It can't happen. It's impossible. So the lady whose husband ran out on him and came back, there's a very good chance he's going to run out on her again, or it's going to be her turn to run out and have problems with her emotions, because it's basically impossible to have steady emotions without Christ. It's basically not going to happen. Okay? That's what's going on in these movies. You know, there's a lot of terminology about effort and about what you can do and what you should have done, and that's a formula for disaster. Because Adam and Eve were never meant to deal with things on their own. Never. They met God at the end of every day. Adam did in the cool of the day. He met God, Father God, at the end of every day in the cool of the day. That means that Adam and Eve lived in a warm environment. You were not meant to do without meeting God. That's why God told them, leave the tree alone. Basically, in American terminology, leave the darn tree alone. End of story. So there are commandments that you must obey in order to please your Creator. That's very simple. And you can take that to the bankola, as they say here in America. And for these people who have this beautiful home to talk about having a wonderful life in this home without listening to the commandments of the Lord, it's a fairy tale. It's not going to happen. You will not have the peace of God which surpasses all understanding. You'll be on a roller coaster. You'll have the problems that humans have who are Gentiles and who are not Israelites and fully submitted to God. You're going to have those problems. You can pretend by someone saying it's a beautiful day and a beautiful house and the baby's healthy and whatever, but the bottom line is that you're living in a fairy tale, and it's not real. You're not going to have the steady joy that comes from servitude to Jesus Christ or an Israelite. Israelite means fully submitted to God. It means God is a big part of your life, His commandments, and that's how you're going to find what you're looking for. Otherwise, you're looking for something that you will never own. That's the point. You're talking about something that will never happen, which is deep satisfaction as a human being. And if you say you're very satisfied, then that means that you are basically a zombie. Anyone who says that they are happy outside of Jesus Christ, they're what we call in America, or I guess Jamaica somewhere there in Haiti, you're a zombie. You're not dealing with reality. I'm happy over here without Jesus in my American home or wherever you are. Okay, you know what you are? You're a liar. And the thing is that for you to declare that is a lie in itself. Now, when I watch some of these movies, which America generally has a lot of Judeo-Christian movies where they have Christmas or something, and they might mention God bless you or something, but that's all they have in the movie, then what we have is a problem. Now, we hope things work out. We're watching the movie, and we hope things work out for them. It doesn't mean that they're toast. It just means it doesn't look good. And we can come to some conclusions right away. Number one, you may not be saved, and if you die, you might go downstairs. Number two, you're not going to have the joy of the Lord because you're not participating in church activities. So what we're looking at is maximum of, we hope you go to church sometime in the future, you fellow American who had a Christmas tree or something. That's what we do. I'll be right back. We're going to go to our third segment, bouncing around Corinthians here. We're going to go to Corinthians chapter 6. Maranatha.